Alrighty, in this pre-lab video, we are going to go over the application of a traction splint. So traction splint is a specialized piece of equipment that is used for one type of injury. And that injury is a mid-shaft femur fracture. When we go to apply our traction splint, we have to assess the leg completely because there cannot be any other injuries to the leg other than that femur fracture. So before we put this on, if we notice a femur fracture from about here to here, we need to assess pelvis, hip, knee, lower leg, ankle, and feet because there cannot be any injuries there, because what this does is it pulls, and if there are other injuries to that leg, it is going to do further damage to those injuries. So highly specialized, one type of injury only. Because of that, this is also a rarely used piece of equipment, so you need to make sure that you play with it several times a year so that you are familiar with it when you do need to place it, because patients with these type of injuries are severely injured and need rapid transport. So let's go over what's inside this bag here real quick, and then we will put it on. So you'll notice this comes inside a little bag. This is a tent pole style traction splint. And they were originally designed for ski patrol because they're small and lightweight. So inside of our bag here we have a red strap, a green strap, our tent pole, which has a yellow strap on it, we have your hip hitch here, which is long and blue. And then you have two different ankle hitches. So on a patient where we are able to remove their footwear, we will use, this ankle hitch right here. See how it's nice and padded? That way when we put it against their skin, it's padded, it doesn't rub up against. But we also have a much more heavy duty ankle hitch. This one is designed for patients who have snow boots, skiing boots on. That way we don't have to take their boots off out in the middle of the snowstorm to put this on. It can go over their boot and get secured in place. We'll let you play with that one in class. We're not going to use it right now though. So to place the traction splint, the first thing we need to do is assess. We've assessed the leg. We have a mid-shaft femur fracture that's isolated there. So we know that we need to put on a traction splint. So on a real patient, we would remove shoe and sock and cut the pant leg all the way up. Taylor seems attached to these pants, so we're not actually going to cut them. And she's asked us to leave her socks on. So once we have removed those, our first step is to put on the ankle hitch itself. So Paige is going to lift the leg up slightly. I'm going to wrap the ankle hitch around the ankle, nice and tight here. And then before I pull this, I need to check CMS because we are putting a splint on. So check a pedal pulse. Excellent. Can you wiggle your toes for me? And then, without looking, what toe am I touching?
Big one.
Perfect. So CMS is intact. If CMS was not intact, what we are going to do is likely to restore CMS. So I've got this wrapped around. The soft padded part goes on the bottom part, so it helps protect the Achilles tendon there. Wrap that around. You're going to grab the green pole, and we're going to tighten this up to the bottom of the foot, nice and snug. Now, Paige is going to pull traction on this leg. So she is going to grab the leg and she is going to pull, and what that does is it takes the femur, the ends of which are like this right now, and pull them and realign them. Your patient will generally have some relief of pain once we realign those bone ends because they're not scraping against each other, stabbing into the tissue. So they will align. Your patient will have a little bit of relief of pain. This is also incredibly difficult. You're fighting against some of the biggest, strongest muscles in the body to do this. So make sure that you have somebody who's going to be able to pull this and hold it while we continue placing our traction splint.
Good muscles, Paige.
Our next step is we need to measure our tent pole, because as you can see, this is a little bit too long for Taylor. So what you want to do is you want to take the black piece here that's on the very end, line it up with Taylor's heel on the good leg, and then find the point of her hip, and I'm going to collapse down the top part of the tent pole. So you can see it's much shorter now. Now it matches up to Taylor's leg. If you need to pick between it being slightly too long and slightly too short, pick slightly too long, because we're going to pull against, if you don't have enough length, you're not going to be able to pull traction correctly. So I've got that measured. I'll set it aside real quick. And I'm going to put on the hip hitch. So the hip hitch goes, you're going to take the male end, pass underneath the knee, there's a natural void there. And then the double part here, this is actually going to sit against the point of Taylor's hip on her affected leg. Make sure I don't have any twist there. I'm just going to scissor it up so that it's in place. And then before I secure in place, I'm going to grab a piece of padding here to pad this so that way we don't occlude the femoral artery. Very important we don't occlude the femoral artery. It's important. So now I'm going to pull this tight, being sure to keep this piece right where I need it against her hip point. At the end of the video, I will move the camera around so that you can see what this actually looks like with a good view. So now I'm going to take my tent pole, and it gets inserted into the double black piece here. Now, before I can pull traction with this, we need to stabilize the pole, because if I pull traction now, the tent pole is just going to bow and not work. So this is the only time where you will break the rule that we told you about of never put anything over a joint. This is the only exception to putting something over a joint. This actually goes over the knee itself, and the reason is it helps secure and stabilize the knee, so it's actually protecting the knee by being over it. Otherwise, please do not ever wrap things over the knee. So now I've got the knee. I'm going to adjust the camera real quick so you can see down here what I'm doing. Paige, can you swing that way just a smidge? So normally Paige would not let go of traction, but this way you guys can see a bit better. So I'm going to take the red piece, and it goes, or sorry, not the red piece, the yellow piece. It goes over the end here.